Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Just Unsecure. Thank you for last year. 2022 was a great year. Now we're in 2023, and we would like to welcome all our viewers for following us to 2023. Thank you very much. A new episode today will be on ransomware and focusing on the top concerns of the C-suite when it comes to ransomware. My name is Babz. I'm my co-host, OO.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode. As Babs has rightly said, Happy New Year to everyone from me as well. We're starting this new year speaking directly to the C-suite and not any topic that you're not familiar with, but maybe you need to know more as a CISO or a CIO or information security manager on how to communicate key information about ransomware and how to even get the areas that your executives are interested in, especially what their concerns are. Are you addressing that?
Perfect. And what other better way than to even leverage on a report that was done in 2021 by ISC2? And if you don't know what ISC2 is, then you're not yet in cybersecurity. ISC2 is International Information System Security Certification Costume, a non-profit organization that specializes in training and certification of cybersecurity professionals. So if you're really in cybersecurity, you should definitely get a look at ISC2. So yeah.
In short, if you hear about people saying, "Oh, I'm CISSP," that's the organization.
Exactly. They did a research study on ransomware and executives. It will be a link um, in our channel, so you have that link there. And what we're going to do is go through the findings and the research, and also talk to you about what the whole research or study was all about, and from our perspective, leverage from what we know and what we do on our day-to-day working environment, and how we relate to some of this finding.
Absolutely. So this study especially is for 750 US and UK executives. And they target executives, when we mean executives, that mean CEOs, vice president. These are business guys. And so what are the areas that you are concerned with when it comes to security? Risk, defense, strategies, and budgets. That is the area they've targeted, and they come with the top 8 areas of concerns for the C-suite. And I'll allow Babs to start with that.
Okay, so the first major area is they wanted to know how the security function is working with IT to ensure backup and restoration plans will not also be impacted by any ransomware attack. As you know from previous ransomware attacks, is things go down and it took such a long time, and you ask yourself, where's the backup? I thought we backed up last night. How come there's a ransomware now and you're unable to restore? So those are some questions where top CIOs, CEOs, executive levels want to know more about a ransomware attack. That's one of them. Another one is knowing what it will take to restore minimal operations if they were compromised. That is another thing the top C levels wanted to know about. Any other one from your side?
Absolutely. So another one that the 32% of them were looking at is how to prepare to engage law enforcement. Those are the concerns. For you, that might not be a big deal, but that is a big deal for them, because when something happens, they have the obligation to go into law enforcement, how to talk to law enforcement, especially in a highly regulated industry. So this might even be a regulatory agency. For example, a telecom might be talking to that regulatory agency. A bank might be talking to the central bank of that country, banking regulatory authority in such area as well. So every industry have got something they need to be able to talk about, especially when it comes to the C level. They are responsible. 30% of them also knowing how to prepare to engage a cybersecurity firm to help them to investigate. That is 30% of executives, especially when there's a compromise, and how to respond. Because let me give it to you, right? As a CISO or CIO or someone uh, that is responsible for security, you might not be able to respond and engage in a compromise or in an incident. You might need help. And probably you already have a retainer with a third party or with another company that's going to do that. Or you at that event, you need to call someone in to rescue. So
Exactly.
the executive really want to know, will this happen or will it never happen? But it's not about if it's going to happen. You and I know that already.
Mhm.
The question is when it happens. So nobody wants to be squirming around. The third one, the number five one that I know that also mentioned was understanding where the organization is vulnerable. Again, that is 30% of executives out of 750 saying, we really want to know where, where are the issues are. You can go on, Babs.
I think, and 30%, again, most of these were targeted, like you said earlier, for C-level executives. And most of them always say, okay, how will we operate if if our systems are compromised? And I think is a very valid question. So what is the fallback measure? What are the plans we're going to take? Are we going to be able to shut down one zone and operate from another zone? Business continuity. Business
Absolutely.
continuity, disaster recovery comes into the picture for most C levels. And this is the area you'll see from us. When we say C level, people forget finance comes in play. The
Absolutely. The
chief
CFO is
financial
involved.
officer is one of the key people for the C levels that, they need to know how much it takes to ensure that the business can still maintain its operations after a compromise. And that's yeah.
And
You want to say
if I
something?
may just cut in a bit, another area that you need to look at is what is really the business model? Can the business even operate without any computers in the case of an incident? Can we fall back to papers? Can we fall back
Yeah.
to who else? Who do we need to our third parties that we integrate with? What do we need to complete this critical transaction? They really want to know at the minimal level, what can we restore to? Can we restore to capacity of 30% or 20%? And we'll continue to operate. Don't forget that when that happens, organizations want to operate at a minimal level while they're still trying to respond and restore the service in full.
And I think 30% also of the C level, I think you mentioned it, is like you should be able to know and understand which of the third party you use that are integral and
Yeah.
integrate with your systems. So because if you depend on the third party, and obviously there's an issue, and your third party is not carried along on your response plan, for example, that that is a failure already.
Yeah.
You've got a plan, but your third party that you depend on to make their plan feasible is not part of your plan. Then obviously it's a plan that has already failed from the start. So,
Absolutely.
and I think mentioning these two or three we spoke about when it comes to understanding what is most vulnerable and understanding how you operate when things are compromised. And I think it stems from the fact that you should be able to do a BIA, which is a business impact assessment of your environment and of your assets as well. So, and I think the C levels all know this, but that is something you need to be able to, capture as a cybersecurity professional. The last but not least, which was the last thing within the C-level concern, was understanding what our response plan is. Again, We mentioned that as part of the things we said for business continuity, but it's about ensuring that everybody understands where they fit into the plan. And
Abs-
that's it.
Absolutely. Do you even have a plan? Is it documented? Has it been tested? Has it been communicated? So, those are the things that they're like, yo, do we really have a plan, a response plan? It could just be your incident response plan. But beyond that, it has to integrate with the entire business plan as well. Because it has to be realistic. If you restore only IT, who else do you need to call? Who else do
Mm-hmm.
you need to be involved in it? So it should be holistic. And I know most of the C levels, the CISOs that we're talking to as well, or the CIOs or the information security manager or whoever is responsible really understand now the top 8 critical areas. Then the question is, Bob,
Yeah,
how could I tackle this?
exactly. How do cybersecurity professionals navigate this world to C levels? And the ISC2 gave us some tips as well. I think it was top 5, if I recall. Yeah, top
Correct.
5 tips, and we'll go through some of these tips from our own perspective as well. The number one is being able to communicate when you're reporting to leadership. It is very, very key. And what you notice is leadership want to be able to understand where to invest in. And if you do not communicate your security concerns effectively, they might listen, but they might not be willing to invest because they don't understand.
Correct.
So you should be able to communicate. And what I've noticed, like in CISO levels in companies now, you are starting to get non-technical people leading CISOs. You're starting to get lawyers, compliance analysts. Why is that? Because they communicate. They can communicate easily with C level. So not saying that the technical guys shouldn't, but it's just saying that that is one of the things that a CISO should be able to, or a cybersecurity professional should be able to communicate with leadership. Break it down. Don't go too technical, but let them understand that if this happens, these are the these are the impacts to the organization. Yeah, you
And
wanted to say something
yeah,
about that? Yeah,
communication is key. This
absolutely.
position is becoming competitive. Our position as the CIO or CISO, that means Chief Information Security Officer, is becoming so competitive. That means non-technical people or non-security background guys can actually take it up, as you've mentioned, because they communicate in clear languages. So forget all the
Mhm.
jargons. Get across the message as good as possible, relatable to the executives. This is important.
Another area is the mention was temper over confidence as needed. And I think I align with that because many people always feel nothing has happened. It means we have a good cybersecurity
We are
team.
secure.
Uh, exactly. People assume nothing has happened and we're secure. And this is where a cybersecurity professional should always ensure. We're not saying you should shout wolf all the time, but you should let management know that this can actually happen to you and explain it effectively. Again, going back to the first one, communicate the things that might occur in your organization that can lead to the same thing that has occurred in other organizations. We do not shout wolf all the time, but ensure that leadership or the C level always understands the implications of not having security, or say the implications of ransomware attack within the organization.
Fantastic. Looking at number 3, which is the tip 3 from ISC squared, the bottom line
Mhm.
is there's a need to tailor the message. We should tailor our message based on the organization. We can't just pick up something from the news and just want to dump it on an executive and say, yeah, I said there was on a 0-day on Exchange server. That means we should just patch everything that we have on our system, whereas we are probably not concerned with that. The business
Yeah.
is not even concerned. It's not even in our risk profile for that. So tailoring our message means we need to be able to see what the organization priority is, especially to the executives. And we need to speak not in jargons, but probably in the right language, placing the priority on our compliance requirement.
Exactly.
When we do this executive, that is what they really want, not just being a scarecrow, as you've mentioned rightly.
Yeah, and I think another thing to also look at is look at what your executives are more concerned about. Are they more concerned about compliance? Are they more concerned about regulatory requirements? Are they more concerned about the business impact? And tailor your response or your reporting from that perspective because it kind of guides them. It it gauges their interest on what you're saying. So
Yeah.
if you're reporting that look, if this data breach occurs, we're going to pay $10 million. That's a concern to the CFO, the chief financial officer, and you say, and based on that penalty for $10 million, this affects our PCI DSS certification, that affects our compliance person, and this affects the brand. That affects business. Be able to tailor it to your audience and especially to the C-level executives so they understand the impact of what you're saying. Again, tailoring the message is very key.
I think you're spot on. That tip
Yeah.
is a case for additional staff or investments. Let's face the fact. We have staff that are going to move. We have a need for new skills, especially when we move from different areas right now. We might only need maybe one or two compliance more, or officers more, or managers more, or employee or personnel. But areas that probably we've moved to cloud, for instance, we might need automation in the cloud. We might need people to do threat intelligence. We might need people to do even the red team and the blue team, as all that concerns. Investment, right investment needs to happen. And also in technology as well. That is reality. Because it changes. The security landscape changes a lot right now that we need to be much more agile about the way we move. And sometimes many of us are even sitting on older technology, which cannot win in the current warfare. So we need to find a way to communicate that and build that reality on the table to executive that these are the key areas of investment that will require. Doing any other
Absolutely.
thing.
I couldn't agree more with you on that. To move to the next or the final tip which was given was that it's not just ransomware, but security is everybody's responsibility. So
Absolutely.
even though today's topic is focused on ransomware, and we should always let everyone in the organization, as cybersecurity professionals, to let everybody know that defending the network or defending the organization, it's not just for the cybersecurity professionals. Even though security, again, is a top-down approach, it's everyone's business to be able to, look out for the organization, understand best practice, understand the ways of working in a secure manner. So again, in this particular research, there are 28 respondents that stated ultimate responsibility rests with executive team. But again, ultimately, leadership must come from the top of the organization, like I said earlier, but the cybersecurity professionals must be able to inform and educate senior managers as well as non-senior managers about the impact of a security breach, if it's ransomware, if it's anything else within the organization. So I think, it's like we always say in all our videos, security is everybody's responsibility, and we couldn't have said it gotten it as the final tip for ISC2's research on this topic.
Correct. I would like to add that you need to find a way to properly educate your executive, not rubbing it on their face, but actually clearly they know the responsibility. They know whether you like it or not. A lot of them as well. One of the things that we used to do, Babz, remember, is to also tell them about their own personal security, especially with their own device at home and their wards. If your executive is affected by ransomware in their home or their personal laptop, that's a big deal on you as well. So that's especially in the age of remote work, right? So anyone can be affected, whether remotely or right there sitting in the office, apart from the back end servers and what have you. So in this case, we need to ensure that our executives really understand the impact, that it's everyone's responsibility to protect the key things that is important to the organization.
And I think the good thing is, like, even in the reports, even though this was dated late 2021, the report is stated that, the C-suite executives, they want more information. They want to know more about the strategies in place, and they're willing to invest. So the cybersecurity professionals should have a comfort in that, executives are willing to, understand or learn from cybersecurity professionals. So, and that's a good thing, because we're getting into, like you said, a different stage within the cybersecurity environment. We have the cloud coming on right now. Heavily, everybody's moving to the cloud. There's a different kind of threat vector out there. So everything is on our side as professionals right now. We just need to engage more with the C-level executives for them to understand our burning points from a security perspective, so that they're willing to support and invest in ensuring a more secure environment in the cyberspace.
Fantastic. I think you've nailed it. In conclusion, though, the findings shows that YC's executives, they want more detail, they want more information, they want frequent access to information from the cybersecurity team, especially leadership as well, which has to be with CISOs, CIOs, what have you. By and large, they're willing to invest. And as well, we need to reiterate again that the 5 tips you probably need to go back again and look at them, and they're really simple. That we need to communicate really with the management. First one we mentioned was increased communication and reporting to leadership. You need to temper your their overconfidence as needed. This is reality. Things are going to happen, and tailoring your message. And that is the first 3. And I think about
Well, the fourth one is make the case for new staff and other investment, like, making sure you're able to recruit new skills that are coming on board, and also getting the new solutions out there that will protect the organization and, make a business justification for it. And last but not least, which was mentioned, was make clear the ransomware defense is everyone's responsibility. But like we say on Just Unsecure, security is everyone's responsibility.
if you like what the episodes, please subscribe to our channel, like, share with other executives or anyone that needs this information, because again, communication. Because they have the right to know and the right to be able to communicate well with their own executives as well. We hope to always have you on board. And if you have any suggestion of any topic that you'd like to know, kindly send it to us at team@Just Unsecure.
Thank you all. See you next time. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.